Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. Happy December and happy day one of Vlogmas. I'm so excited you guys are here with me for Vlogmas 2020. Each day in December, I'm going to be posting a video. It may be a vlog, but it may also be another type of video. Cooking video, a grocery haul. The main take home is that I'll be posting a video every single day. I always have so much fun doing this and I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I'm thankful for you all. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do so right now and then click the notification bell so that you can get notified every time I post a new video. Typically I'll be posting my Vlogmas videos in the evening. So we are going to start out the month of December with our annual Thanksgiving plan, shop and cook with me. This is what I did last year for my first day of Vlogmas and it was a really popular video and I had a ton of fun making it. I actually just re-watched it so I could get some ideas of what I wanted to make this year, but I am actually super behind this year. I have been in the process of writing a cookbook, which has taken up a lot of my extra time, and I also know that a lot of our Thanksgivings are going to look different this year because we are not going to be able to have the large gatherings like we once did. But I'm actually kind of a little bit thankful for that because I'm super behind. I wouldn't have had time to clean my house and plan a huge dinner anyway, but we are going to do Thanksgiving just with our family, myself, Adam, and the kids. So I'm going to take you with me as I meal plan, and then we're going to go to the store, pick up some ingredients, and then I'm going to share with you all of the cooking and then our final meal. So I hope that you guys have fun watching this, and again, thank you for being here for Vlogmas 2020. I am super excited. All right, so I've got my recipe binder here and then I've also got my meal planner. I did recently make a video about my recipe binder, so I'll link that down below if you want a little more in-depth info on what I keep in here and how I set it up. But my meal planner is a Carrie L meal planner and I always have a link and a coupon code in my description box if you guys want to check it out. So I do use this for my weekly meal planning and grocery lists every week, but the other thing I like about it is that it also has a gatherings section, so it's super helpful in planning out like any type of large gathering, whether it's a holiday, a birthday party, something like that. It separates out the different courses here and then you have your grocery list you can tear off and take to the store with you. So as I'm filming this, actually it is Thanksgiving morning, so I know that I am behind, but again, we're not going to do anything super involved this year, so it's all going to work out fine and we're not going to eat until this evening, so I'm okay with it. I was going to make turkey and ham, but Adam said since it's just going to be the four of us, let's just do the turkey. So I brined that last night, which I'll show you guys here in a little bit. We'll go ahead and save the ham for a different time. Adam, maybe you can throw it on the smoker or something. Always for sides, we need mashed potatoes and gravy. And then I am also going to get some rolls. I think I'm just going to do the Rhodes rolls this year. I was thinking about trying to make them homemade, but at this point I'm not going to have a whole lot of time for that, so I'll get those. Adam always likes to have chicken and noodles, and we do the frozen Reams noodles, and then I'm going to make green bean casserole, and then stuffing. I guess dressing really, since it's not going to be stuffed in the turkey. And then I put cranberry sauce under desserts. I am going to make some homemade cranberry sauce only because that's what I have on hand. I have frozen cranberries, frozen fresh cranberries instead of the canned sauce. And then I do want to make a pumpkin pie. I feel like that is just traditional and we can't go without that. And then I have a recipe for sugar cookies. I want to try, they're like a sour cream sugar cookie that you roll into balls and bake rather than the cutout ones. And so I thought I could make those in lieu of making a bunch of different complicated pies and desserts. I'm pretty sure everyone likes pumpkin pie. And then for drinks, I'll just get soda, maybe pick up a bottle of wine or something like that. So I think we're going to keep it pretty simple this year. But yeah, I'm just thinking about the sides: mashed potatoes, chicken noodles, green bean casserole, and stuffing. I do normally make the corn casserole, which is like well, I got the recipe from one of my friends' moms, but it's also available online as a Paula Deen recipe. It's basically like the Jiffy cornbread mix, and then you mix it with cream corn, butter, sour cream, But my kids really they don't really like that a whole lot, and I actually just made some a couple weeks ago. So I think I'm going to leave that off. So let's go through the recipe binder and pick out the recipes. So I have this recipe card here for pumpkin pie. I think this is one that I got from my mom, and I think I made it, I don't know, a couple years ago maybe. Normally I don't make the pumpkin pies. Normally my sister-in-law does that, but since we are not gathering this year, I will have to make my own pumpkin pie. Last year I made a cherry pie that was really, really good. And I'm not going to go through all that effort this year, but you guys can go back and watch that video if you want. I'll link it down below. Okay, so here's the sides section of my binder. I think, okay, yeah, so here's the stuffing recipe that I use, the dressing recipe. It's actually Ina Garten's recipe for sausage and herb stuffing. It is so stinking good. I love it. It has apples in it, which is a little bit maybe non-traditional, but it turns out super good. So I'm gonna pull that one out. And then on the back of it is sweet potato casserole, and that's another thing that I sometimes make, but none of us really like it all that much, and I normally make it for Adam's dad, so I'm not gonna do that this year. So I think that's really the only thing that I need to pull out a recipe for. I already have the recipe pulled out downstairs for the turkey. I really don't use a recipe for gravy. Mashed potatoes, I don't need a recipe. Chicken noodles, I don't need a recipe. Green bean casserole, I usually just follow the recipe on the side of like the French's onion container. I don't get super fancy with that either. Cranberry sauce actually is right here. I printed this off the other day from Food Network, so I'll get that. And then I have the pumpkin pie, and then the sugar cookies is in my other binder. So super simple this year, not complicated. I'm totally fine with that. It's gonna be delicious. We're gonna have all the flavors of Thanksgiving. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down into the kitchen probably, and then I just go through all of these different items and decide what I don't have on hand already that I need to make these. So like, I know that I'll need the rolls. I'll probably pick up some extra butter just to make sure we don't run out. I already have potatoes. I think I'll probably get some more half and half to mash the potatoes with. And then I'll need some noodles, chicken broth. I always have either some in the freezer or I reconstitute my own. I may get some canned chicken. I know that sounds weird, but Adam's mom usually makes her chicken noodles with canned chicken and then chicken stock and the Reams noodles, and that's the way that Adam grew up eating it, and so that's what he really likes. It's all about like family traditions, right? And then I'll probably need some green beans. I don't know that I have any of those. I know I have cream of mushroom soup, and I think I have onions, but I'll double check. And then for the sausage and herb stuffing, I do think I have enough bread, but I'll maybe put that on there. I need to look. And then butter, onion I have, celery I have, although I'll probably need some more celery. And then apples I have, parsley I have, salt, pepper. Well, this says sweet or spicy Italian sausage. I actually have some Italian sausage in the fridge, so I'll just use that. Stock and dried cranberries, which I have. So that's good. I don't need anything for the turkey that's brining right now. Oh, I do need a bottle of wine for that because that's what you baste it with. And then cranberry sauce. I think I have all the ingredients for this. So frozen cranberries, sugar, lemon zest, water. Yeah, that's it. Pumpkin pie, I need, I'm gonna make a homemade crust, so I have all this stuff for that. I have pumpkin, 14 ounce Eagle brand. I think that's sweetened condensed milk. I was gonna say evaporated milk, but I don't think it's that. Eggs, I need cinnamon, salt, ginger, nutmeg. Yeah, and then actually, do you guys like Cool Whip on your pumpkin pie? I feel like that's always what I like on it. I mean, whipped cream is good too, but Cool Whip tastes good. And I actually have a frozen container of Cool Whip in the freezer, so la-di-da, I'll just use that. And then the sugar cookies, I don't think I need anything for those either. So I'll see you guys at the store. Okay, so I decided that I was gonna go get my groceries at Hy-Vee since I don't need a whole lot of things, and it's just quicker for me to be able to go in and out here than it is at Walmart. And there's actually quite a few cars in the parking lot, more than I thought. So maybe people are on the struggle bus this year, just like I am. I feel like I'm in good company. So I'm just in the specialty cheese section, and they have this soft spreadable cheese. It's the Alouette and the Cranberry apple spice. I think that looks interesting. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna get it, but they have that and the cheesecake and then the garlic and herb. Alright, so this is all I have so far. Not much. I did find some chicken and a biscuit crackers. Adam likes those, so I figured I'd set those out for a snack. And I'm getting a few other things that I need too, like noodles and some SpaghettiOs for the kids. Have you guys had better cheddars before? If you haven't, you should try them. They are so delicious. Okay, so have you guys tried these Polar Seltzer Aid? I might try one. They have starfruit lemonade, tart cherry limeade, raspberry pink lemonade, blueberry lemonade, blood orange lemonade, and mango limeade. Oh, that sounds good. I'll have to grab one of those. So these Sister Schubert's rolls are really good too. They don't take as long to rise, but since I have time today, I'm gonna get the Rhodes rolls. But there are several different varieties. They have bread dough too. All right, so it's currently 11:15 and I think I got everything that I need, so we're gonna head home and start cooking. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you guys what I got from the store, but I also wanted to show you this hash brown egg casserole that we made this morning. I put it together last night. It actually turned out pretty good. I did not have enough eggs for the recipe, but I still made it with half of the eggs that it called for, and it was still good. So I think we'll probably have leftovers of this tomorrow. So I'm gonna pack this up and get my groceries set out. All right, so we're going to rewind to the previous night, and I'm going to share with you guys how I made this egg casserole. So here is the recipe. I'll link it down below. I had this sausage in the refrigerator. I probably would have liked to use ground sausage, but the links are what I had on hand. So I took a 9x13 casserole dish and greased that with cooking spray, and then I did go ahead and chop the sausage up into coins, and I sauteed that. I actually think this was probably fully cooked sausage, but anytime I'm putting something like that in a casserole, I do like to cook it ahead of time just to render some of the fat. And I layered it in the dish with the potatoes and the cheese, whisked up some cream of celery soup with some milk and eggs, and poured that over the top. The recipe, I think, called for cream of mushroom soup, but I don't really care for mushrooms, so I used cream of celery and it turned out fine. But we refrigerated it overnight, and here is what it looked like when it came out of the oven the next morning. It was definitely delicious, and I don't always make a big breakfast, but since we were eating Thanksgiving dinner in the evening, I decided to do that on this day. Okay, so here's everything that I got, mostly Thanksgiving stuff, but I also got a few just regular groceries that I saw that we needed too. I did go ahead and get some Granny Smith apples, even though I had regular apples here. The stuffing recipe does specifically call for Granny Smith, and sometimes I like to use those in there just because they're less sweet and a little bit more tart, and Connor likes to snack on these anyway. I got some more celery. I didn't have enough of that left for all the things that I needed it for. And then I also picked up some grapes. These were on sale for $1.99, so I thought that was a good price. Their Chobani flips were still on sale for $1 each, so I picked up 4 of these. I got 1 strawberry cheesecake, 1 apple crisp, 1 peanut butter cup, and 1 lemon meringue pie. I got some half and half, both for coffee and then for the mashed potatoes if I need it. 2 dozen eggs. I think these were on sale for $1.17. Which is not a bad price. It's a little bit more than I would pay at Aldi, but still, excuse me, still a pretty decent price. I also got some sour cream for the sugar cookies, and then just to have on hand for anything else we need it for. Butter was a good surprise. It was on sale for $1.88 a pound, which is a really good deal. So the limit was 4, and I went ahead and got 4 because this freezes well and I can always use it for Christmas baking. I inadvertently picked up 2 packages of summer sausage. I saw this one on an end cap, and I was like, oh, I'll get that to just do like a meat and cheese, you know, platter to set out this afternoon before dinner. And then this was in the refrigerator section, but that's fine. I accidentally got both of them, but we'll eat them at some point. And then I got a couple different cheeses to put out. This one is just a regular sharp cheddar. And then I don't think we've tried this one yet. It's Schulzberg cheese and onion. So I thought we would try that. I did pick up another loaf of bread. This is sourdough bread. I do need a little bit to supplement the bread that I have for the stuffing. And then I do like this bread also. I use it for toast in the morning sometimes, and then I also like just sandwiches on it. I got Adam some chicken and biscuit crackers. He really likes those. And then I am running low on craisins, so I decided to pick up a bag of these just because I use them for other things too, and I'll put a little bit in the dressing. I got 1 can of black olives, 2 cans of green beans. These are on sale for 29 cents. So that will be for the green bean casserole. I got 1 can, or I'm sorry, I actually got 2 cans of SpaghettiOs for the kids. 2 cans of mini ravioli, but Connor's eating one for lunch right now. I got 1 can of the Swanson white chunk chicken breast for the chicken and noodles. I also saw this Hormel sliced dried beef, and we use this to make dried, well, we call it SOS or shit on a shingle, but it's actually, Connor's looking at me, it's actually like dried beef gravy or chipped beef gravy. Anyway, we haven't had this in a long time, and Adam really likes that, so I thought I could have that on hand for a quick meal this weekend. I also got some AE Dairy Party Dip. This is good if you haven't tried this flavor and you see it. I'm going to cut up some cucumbers and some carrots to munch on as well. I have not bought Easy Cheese in a long time, and I thought it would be fun for, you know, to set that out with crackers and the kids could have it. I grabbed some smoked almonds. We haven't had those in a while, and they sounded good. I needed to pick up a bag of egg noodles for a pork chop recipe that I want to make within the next week, and I didn't have any of these on hand. I got some Bang energy drinks for Adam. 1 Radical Skedaddle. I don't think I've seen this flavor before. Strawberry Blast. This one was new to me also. Purple Kittles. And then this one is the Sour Heads. So I got those for him. I got 1 6-pack of just the sparkling water. This is the sweet sparkling water, but it's 0 calorie. I think it's sweetened with Splenda. And then this is my very favorite flavor of LaCroix. I think this is the best. It's limoncello flavored, and it really does taste like limoncello. It's delicious. I would definitely recommend it if you like sparkling water. These were the dinner rolls I got. So these are the ones that I always get, the Rhodes East dinner rolls. Really good. So I'll set those out to rise. And then they had toaster scrambles on sale for $1.77, so I picked up a package of these. They were pretty picked over. I think this was like one of the last 2 packages, but I figured we could have those in the freezer for breakfast next week. And then I saw these also, and I thought, I should make those for myself for lunch. They're goat cheese bites with marinara, and it's the Pioneer Woman brand. I have never tried these before, but they sound good, and it says they come with marinara sauce, so I thought I would try those. These are the Reams frozen noodles I get. These are always what I use for chicken and noodles when I make it. They have bigger bags of these, but since it's just us 4 today, I got the smaller bag. And sometimes Hy-Vee has their own like store brand too, but I didn't see that today, so obviously I had to get the brand name. And then I really like these Bantam Bagels. If you guys have never tried them before, they're good. They're just like little mini bagels stuffed with cream cheese. And you can make these in the air fryer. It says to make them in a toaster oven. I don't have a toaster oven, so I use the air fryer, and they are so stinking good. They're actually kind of expensive, but I buy them every once in a while because I really like them. I got a cheap bottle of Sauvignon Blanc for basting the turkey. I'll show you guys how I do that with butter and wine and cheesecloth. And then I did pick up one of the packages of the Sparkling Polar Seltzer Aid. This is the Mango Limeade, so I hope that's good. And then just some diet soda, which we're running low on. Diet 7-Up and Diet Dr. Pepper with cream soda. So I think what I'm going to do is get the cold stuff put away, and then I have some dishes in the sink that I need to clear out before I can dump the turkey out of the brine and get that in the oven. Okay, so this is the previous night, and I'm sharing with you how I brined this turkey. So this was about a 24-pound turkey, and even though it was just going to be the 4 of us, I bought a large one on purpose because I always find that the larger ones cook better for me. They don't dry out as fast, and I like having a lot of leftover meat. There's lots of things you can do with it. So I started out by making the brine. You basically want to dissolve your salt in some boiling water. So I put some water in my pot, some kosher salt, and then you're going to season it with a lot of different seasonings. And some of them I didn't actually have on hand, but I substituted and it worked out just fine. So you will need some bay leaves. I'm going to pop those in there. You also are supposed to put coriander seeds in there, but I didn't have any. You're also supposed to put juniper berries. I honestly, if I tried to find juniper berries in Iowa, people would probably laugh me out of the store. So I ended up putting some peppercorns in, some fennel seeds, which the recipe called for. I think I put some thyme in there, and then I did put some dried coriander rather than the coriander seed, and it turned out fine. It was still delicious. These are the bags I used to brine my turkey. They are huge, giant Ziploc bags. I think you can get them at Walmart. I bought this package a while back, but they are super convenient for doing stuff like this. I just put my turkey in the bag and kind of stand it up in a roasting pan. And then once the brine mixture comes to a boil, you basically turn off the heat, let it cool, and then you pour it into the bag with the turkey along with the rest of the cold water. Now, I actually tied this bag up before I realized that I needed to put like all of the veggies in there, so I had to untie it and redo that, but not a big deal. You do put 2 medium onions in there, 6 garlic cloves, and then a bunch of fresh thyme. I had some mixed herbs that I put in there, which I'll show you here in a second. But this is the second year I've made my turkey like this, and it turns out delicious. I would definitely recommend brining your turkey if you've never done that before. I really think it makes a difference in terms of the flavor of the turkey. Once you roast it up, you can really taste in the meat that flavor that's in the brine. And actually this brine calls for a bottle of white wine also, and I did not have one on hand. So I substituted a little bit of white wine vinegar and everything turned out just fine. So for my herbs, I have some sage in there, some rosemary, and some thyme. And I put that into the bag with all of the onions and the brine and made sure that was tied up and secured really well. And then that just went in the refrigerator overnight, and then I'll put the turkey in the oven probably about noon the following day. So also during this time, I was making the turkey stock. So I took the giblets and the heart and the neck out of the turkey and sauteed those up in a pan. I added some onions, some carrots, some celery, some water, and then basically you just simmer that to make a really flavorful stock, and then that's what we'll use to make the gravy out of. You can also make it out of the turkey drippings, but I find it's just as easy to make the stock on top of the stove, and then that way you can have it cooled and already ready, and you can actually make the turkey gravy while the turkey's in the oven, if that makes sense. So this is always just how I've done it, and it works out great. So there is the turkey in the brine. So that is going to sit in there overnight. You can actually let it sit for up to 36 hours if you have time. And then here is the stock that I made. So I just strained that and put it into the refrigerator overnight and let it cool, and then it was ready for the next day. Okay, so for the roast turkey, you will need 3 sticks of melted butter, and then you combine that with 1 bottle of dry white wine, and then this is what you're going to coat the cheesecloth in that's going to sit on the skin of the turkey. And then you're also going to baste this, use this to baste the turkey throughout. It's a really good method. I would highly recommend it. We did this last year. So this is just cheesecloth I ordered off of Amazon. So I'm just going to push that down in there and let it soak. I gotta go get the turkey out of the garage. Here is the turkey and the brine. It smells really good. It's kind of interesting because when you brine a turkey, it does obviously soak up some of the brine. So it's just funny how much larger the turkey appears the next day. after you've brined it and it's soaked up some of that liquid. So I'm going to get this rinsed off, and then I'm going to put it just back into this pan to sit for a little bit while I get my roasting pan ready. I have some salt and pepper in this little thing right here, and I'm just gonna sprinkle that inside the cavity of the turkey. And I forgot that this recipe wants you to actually use stuffing, but I don't really care for that, so I'm just gonna stuff the inside with like some carrots, celery, and onion. I feel like I probably went through at least a 5-pound bag of carrots in this video between everything I used them for, but I'm just chopping up some veggies to stuff inside of the turkey, and you don't need to peel these or anything. Obviously, you're not really going to eat these. They're kind of just going in to the turkey to help it hold its shape while it roasts, and then it will also kind of impart some flavor on the turkey as well. So you do want to tie up the legs together with some butcher's twine. That will just help the turkey kind of stay nice and compact while you're roasting it in the oven. It won't be kind of flopping around and getting unevenly cooked. And then I didn't show this on the video either, but you do want to fold the wing tips under and just kind of tuck them under the bird. So before we put the cheesecloth on, I'm going to just rub 1 stick of softened butter all over the turkey. Yes, it's surprising how much butter goes into this recipe, but I really only roast a turkey like this once a year, so what's the harm, right? And then I sprinkled it with salt and pepper pretty generously. You always have to remember when you're cooking a big bird like this that you're talking like over 20 pounds, so you definitely want to season it generously. Then I draped the cheesecloth over the turkey like a little blankie. How cute is that? All right, so here is my turkey all covered up and ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to put this in at 450 for, I believe, 30 minutes or an hour. I can't remember. I'll have to look. And then you turn the oven temperature down to 350 and roast it the rest of the way. And then as it cooks, as it cooks, you baste it with this butter and wine mixture, and the cheesecloth helps to keep the skin crispy. It's delicious. Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and get the rolls out and rising. These usually take about 3 to 5 hours to rise, and you guys have probably seen me cook these before if you've watched any of my What's for Dinner videos, but I just use a 9x13 pan and I use 12 rolls. I spray the pan with cooking spray, and then I place the little dough balls in there. Now the key to this is that make sure that you spray your plastic wrap that you're going to cover the dish with. So I spray it and then I turn it over and put the sprayed side towards the rolls, because they will rise up, and if they stick to the wrap, the plastic wrap, and you pull it off, you'll deflate all the rolls. Ask me how I know. That's happened to me a couple times before. So just a tip there. I'm going to get started on cooking some Italian sausage. This is hot Italian sausage, and I'm going to use half of this for my dressing recipe, and then I'm also going to use half of it for some stuffed mushrooms. I wasn't quite sure at this point in the day if I was going to make those stuffed mushrooms yet, but I did end up making them, and you'll see that later in the video. So here is my sausage, and I'm using my meat chopper to just basically make sure that that's in fine crumbles, and I'll put that on a paper towel lined plate to drain when it's done cooking. Okay, so the turkey has been cooking for 30 minutes, and I'm going to baste it, and then I'm going to put it back in for about 3 hours at 350 degrees. And then every 30 minutes you want to baste it again with the butter and wine mixture. Okay, so I'm going to get started on the crust for the pumpkin pie. Ideally, I should have done this the previous day and had it already made, but I told you guys I was super behind this week, so that's what I get. Everything worked out fine in the end, as it usually does. But I like to use my food processor to make my pie crust. I just find that it's easier. It comes together much faster, and I don't have to stand there with a pastry cutter and cut everything together. So I just have some cold butter and some flour in my food processor, a little bit of salt, and then you just want to drizzle in some ice water until a ball forms. And basically that's it. If you guys have not made homemade pie crust, you definitely need to try it. Do not be intimidated. It is not hard at all. If you can use a rolling pin, you can make pie crust. I promise you. So I put the dough out on a floured surface. I like using my butcher block for this. And then I kind of just like to fold it over so that I get some of those flaky layers in the dough. And you want to pat this into kind of a little flat disc and wrap it in plastic wrap. And then just stick it in the fridge for maybe about 30 minutes to an hour, just until it gets chilled enough to work with it. If you try to work with it right away, sometimes the butter will get too warm. And you'll end up with a mess on your hands. I'm going to make the filling for the pumpkin pie. So I have some eggs. I'm going to put in 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. If you guys have a good pumpkin pie recipe, let me know what it is. I didn't end up being too big of a fan of this particular pumpkin pie filling, but it also might be that I cooked the pumpkin pie for too long. So let me know what recipe that you guys use. I'm adding 1 15-ounce can of pureed pumpkin, and I'll whisk that in as well. And then this recipe also calls for cinnamon, salt, ginger, and nutmeg, which I actually had all of those things on hand. I feel like some of these spices, not cinnamon, because I use cinnamon for a lot of things, but like sometimes spices like ginger and nutmeg, it's like, do I have those in my cabinet, or do I need to buy a new one? So it's either you have like 10 bottles of ginger that are all like 10 years old, or you have no bottles of ground ginger. Who feels me there? So I whisked that together. You can see that it looks nice and creamy after everything was whisked. And then once the pie crust was done chilling in the refrigerator, I took that out, floured my surface, and this recipe makes enough for just 1 pie. So if you're making a double crust pie, you would want to double that. But I actually have this, I think it's considered like a French rolling pin. I ordered it on Amazon a couple months ago, and I actually like it much better than the like the rotor, I don't know what you call it, like the rotary rolling pin with the handles on it. I just think this one is so much easier to control. But this dough is really nice. I think last year for Thanksgiving, I tried 2 different pie dough recipes. I tried one with just shortening and then one that had butter in it. And I always find personally that the pie crust with the real butter turns out better. That's always just been my experience, but also maybe because the butter is very cold and typically I don't have my shortening in the refrigerator. So you can fold that into quarters and then basically just kind of fit it into your pie plate. This is a 10-inch deep dish pie plate, which I actually do like for some applications, especially if you're making a quiche. It's nice and deep and it holds a lot. Then I'm just going to trim the extra crust off the side. Make sure you leave a little bit on there so you can do like the little crimping with your fingers if you want to. And I know you guys are going to ask me about my nail polish and my dress that I'm wearing. So I'll link the particular nail polish that I'm wearing in this video in the description box below. I don't think I can link the dress because it is a LuLaRoe dress actually that I bought many, many years ago. And so I don't even know if that pattern is still available or who I got it from or anything like that. There was once upon a time where I was very obsessed with buying many, many LuLaRoe clothes. I still have like a bunch of leggings and tops and everything. And I still do like those dresses. They're very comfortable, especially to wear around the house. So here's my filling. I'm going to pop that into the crust and just make sure that it's even. And then what I decided to do, since I had some extra pie crust, was I used this little leaf cutter and I'm just going to cut a few pieces out and kind of arrange them on the top of the pie just for a little added touch. I thought that was cute for fall and Thanksgiving. Okay, so next I wanted to get to work on the dressing or the stuffing. I'm probably going to say stuffing just because that's what I always say. I hardly ever call it dressing, even though I don't stuff it into a turkey. But I did not set my bread out to get stale earlier in the week. Again, super running behind. So you can actually dry it out in the oven. It works just fine. I've done it many times. So I have this hearty white bread loaf. I can't remember where I got this. I think I got it at Hy-Vee, maybe Walmart. I can't remember. Basically, it was just like a big loaf of like rustic white bread. And I'm just cutting that into cubes and putting it on a baking tray. Just try to get it as flat as possible into one layer. And then I pop that in the bottom of the oven along with the turkey. I think at this point it was cooking at 350 degrees. This is one of those times it would be nice to have a double oven, maybe someday when I redo my kitchen, which will be never because I practically have a brand new kitchen, but sometimes I think it would be nice to have a double oven. But anyway, I threw that in there and just kind of let it cook until the butter was, or not the butter, the bread was dried out. So now I'm going to work on the other part of the stuffing, which is sort of the veggies that are in there. So I put a stick of butter into my skillet and I'm going to chop up some celery and some apples and some onions. Definitely don't skip the apple in this recipe. I think that it gives it a really great flavor. The apple and the onion along with the celery, I just think is fantastic. And then I will end up using some of that ground sausage in this too. That's totally optional. You could leave the sausage out and I think it would probably be just as good, especially if you wanted a vegetarian version. You could even do a vegan version and use olive oil instead of butter. And then maybe use like a vegetable stock instead of the chicken stock to moisten it. And I don't bother peeling the apples for this particular recipe because you're going to saute these until they're super tender and then you're going to bake it in the oven. So you really can't even tell at the end that you have the peels on them. So I'm just going to dice up 2 apples and that will go into the pan with the celery. If only you guys could have seen my kitchen on this day. It was totally a hot mess. I had so many dirty dishes. I do have like multiple chef's knives just because I cook so much and make so many cooking videos. I have like 4 large chef's knives in different brands and all of them were dirty. All of my other knives were dirty. All of my pans were dirty. Everything was dirty. I had to run the dishwasher 3 times on Friday to get caught up, but that's fine. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy being in my kitchen all day cooking, which is why I did it. Even though we weren't having a big Thanksgiving this year, it was just going to be the 4 of us. I still thought it was fun to cook everything. So I put some onion in the skillet. I also put some parsley, some salt, and some pepper. And then you just want to let that saute over medium heat until all of the veggies are softened. Again, this is my very favorite stuffing recipe, and I know that stovetop is good too, and I have made that, but this is definitely my favorite homemade recipe. Go Ina. So you do need quite a big bowl to kind of mix this stuffing up in. I usually use one of my roasting pans. That works out really well. So I put the breadcrumbs in there, the sausage in there, and kind of give that a stir around. I'm just basically eyeballing that. I think the recipe calls for a pound. I probably used a little bit less than a pound. And then I will dump in the, you see Connor stealing a piece of bread there. And then I'll dump in the cranberries. And then here is my sauteed veggie mixture. So the onions and the apples and the celery along with that butter goes in there. And then you just want to give this a good stir until everything is coated. And then the original recipe, I believe, only calls for 1 cup of chicken stock. I actually don't find that to be enough. I usually put 2 cups in. So that's what I did, but you can use your own judgment always when you cook. I find that recipes definitely need to be changed sometime to suit everyone's taste. So I had 2 packets of what is that called? Not reconstituted. Yeah, I mean, it's chicken stock that I had to reconstitute. So 2 cups worth of that, poured boiling water in there, gave it a good stir. And then once everything is mixed, you can taste it. If you think it needs more salt, you can put more salt in there. And then I just grease a 9x13 casserole dish and pop the stuffing into there. And then I kind of do pack it down a little bit just to make sure that it stays moist while it's baking in the oven, and then just kind of put it all into an even layer. And then I basically just covered that with foil and let it sit on the stove while I was making the rest of the meal. Okay, so next I'm going to get started on some deviled eggs. I'm just going to boil 6 eggs in a pot on the stove. Sometimes I do use my Instant Pot to hard boil eggs, but in this case I wasn't doing very many, so it's just easy to do them on the stove. And while those were cooking, I was going to get started on the stuffed mushrooms. So I can link a recipe down below that I kind of went off of for these. I didn't really follow it to a T. But I've made stuffed mushrooms lots of times before. I personally don't eat them because I don't care for mushrooms, but Adam really likes them, so I make them for him. But basically what you want to do is just pop the stems off of the mushrooms and then dice those up finely, and that will actually go in the filling with the sausage. So you kind of have a sausage mushroom filling for the actual mushrooms. So I'm just chopping those up as finely as I can, and I'll get them into a skillet to saute. And then also I was going to mix in some cream cheese. I think I mixed in some Worcestershire, and then I also chopped up some scallions, just the white part. These were some scallions that I had in the refrigerator, and they were kind of going south, so I salvaged what I could of them, but I just wanted a little bit of onion flavor in those as well. It's always kind of hard for me to cook with mushrooms because I don't particularly care for them, so even if I'm cooking with them and I taste it, it's like, I don't like this, so how am I supposed to know if the flavor is right? So normally when I'm cooking with things like this, I always have Adam taste it since he's going to be the one eating it anyway. So I did decide to chop up some walnuts and put them in here. That was in one of the recipes that I looked at, was chopped up nuts in there. He did not end up liking the texture of this, so I probably wouldn't do that again next time, but it was worth a try.
Ringing in my ear, jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing.
Okay, so in the skillet there, I had my sauteed mushroom stems along with some sausage, and then I'm just going to use about half of this package of cream cheese just as a binder to kind of bring the mixture together. I also put in some Worcestershire sauce. I always, well, not always, but a lot of times I use Worcestershire when I'm cooking with mushrooms. Like, hello again, even though I don't care for mushrooms, I feel like the flavor goes well together. I don't know. You can let me know how you feel about that. But here's everything once I got it all mixed together. So I have the sausage in there, the mushrooms, the onions, cream cheese, Worcestershire, and I believe at this point the chopped up walnuts are in there as well. Again, what I ruined them with, but that is just going to set aside to cool a little bit. The best way I have found to stuff these is using a like a little teaspoon or tablespoon measuring spoon. You can kind of use it to form the sausage on top of the mushrooms. It's not, you don't have a lot of space in there to stuff it, so you kind of have to pack the mixture down in and then mound it up on the top. But as long as you have that cream cheese in there, it does help everything kind of stick together and hold its shape.
And me, carolers are singing outside our door. Lovely songs we all heard before.
Okay, so here is what these stuffed mushrooms look like. I just put those on a little baking tray covered with some foil, and those will go in the oven a little bit later.
As they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day.
Okay, so it is currently about 3:30, and we're gonna check on our progress here. So the rolls are rising. Those are basically done. I still need to peel the potatoes. I need to make the noodles. I need to make the green bean casserole. The stuffing is made and all ready to go in the oven later. Turkey's in the oven. Gravy will need to be made. I need to make the cranberry sauce. I did the pumpkin pie. Not sure if I'm going to get around to the sugar cookies. We'll see. So I have my cranberries here. I need to get those cooking. The turkey just has 4 minutes left on it, and then I'm going to remove it, take the cheesecloth off, and put it back in for an hour and continue to baste it. I have a load of dishes I need to do. I did get my hard-boiled eggs peeled, so I need to make the deviled eggs. And then the pumpkin pie is also done, so I'm just letting that cool here. I have the window cracked a little bit. And once this kind of cools to room temperature, I'll put it in the refrigerator and let it cool the rest of the way. So I think we're in pretty good shape. We have about probably 2.5 to 3 hours before we will eat, and Adam and Connor are outside playing football. Okay, so when you take the cheesecloth off of this turkey, you do have to be really careful that you don't tear the skin. But you can see how brown it got here on the leg, but it works really well to get a crispy brown skin. I've never been able to achieve that before this method, so holla. Okay, so there's what it looks like. So we're gonna put it back in for 1 hour, baste it every 30 minutes while it's in there, and then we'll take it out and let it rest for another hour. So I'm going to be honest, I can't specifically remember if I've ever made homemade cranberry sauce before. I feel like I have, but again, can't remember. So I put my frozen cranberries into a sauce pot. These were actually some cranberries that I had purchased at Costco a couple weeks earlier and put them in there to keep fresh. I squeezed some orange juice in there, put some orange zest, some water, and some sugar, and that's basically it. I just let them cook away until it was nice and thickened. And then once it cooled a little bit, I just put it into a dish and let it come to room temperature. And this turned out so delicious. I think it's even better than canned cranberry sauce. But again, there's a debate there, right? Stovetop versus homemade, canned cranberry sauce versus fresh. Everyone has their own traditions. So the boiled eggs were done. I'm just cutting those in half and scraping out the yolks into a bowl. And then I have this little egg keeper. I think I ordered it on Amazon. I can't remember. Maybe I got it at Hy-Vee randomly, but I like it because it's actually a stackable tray. So if you're going to bring deviled eggs to a party, not like we can have parties anymore because we can't have nice things, but it is super convenient for storing deviled eggs in the refrigerator if you want to do that too. So I mashed up the yolks and I'm putting in a little bit of sweet pickle relish, a little bit of mayo, and salt and pepper. And I think I put some yellow mustard in there as well. Adam does like his deviled eggs just a touch bit sweet, which is why I use the sweet relish. But if you don't care for that, you can totally use dill relish also, or just leave it out altogether. And again, I don't really use a recipe for this. When I first started cooking, when I moved out on my own, a lot of things I did use a recipe for, and I think that's how you have to start out if you're just starting out cooking. But once you make something so many times, you kind of get the hang of it. And like, I don't need a recipe anymore for making lasagna or spaghetti or anything like that. I mean, I can remember printing out recipes for pot roast when I was, first on my own and learning how to cook, but that's how we all get started, right? And I think cooking is like anything else. else. I think sometimes people get frustrated because they can't get it right away, but it's a skill like anything else. So, you know, if you just keep at it and keep practicing, you'll get better and better. I do like to put a little bit of paprika on my deviled eggs just for the nostalgic look of it, but those are done, and I'm going to put the lid on and get them into the refrigerator to chill.
And follow Rudolph all across the town. Play there with me under the mistletoe while Santa's busy saying ho ho ho. We're feeling jolly, eating Christmas cake, and then
okay, so now I'm working on getting the potatoes peeled. I'm actually going to cook my mashed potatoes in the Instant Pot today. That's what I like to do, especially for large meals like this when I have lots of things going in the oven and on the stove. It just makes sense to cook them in the Instant Pot. And the other great thing about cooking them in there is that you can also keep them warm, which is pretty awesome. You can also, you know, mash them and put them in a slow cooker and keep them warm, or sometimes I've even seen recipes where you can cook the potatoes right in the slow cooker too, but I prefer the Instant Pot. It works really well. Sometimes I also get questions about which potato peeler I have. This is literally like a $5 Farberware potato peeler from Walmart, and it's my favorite. I also have a Pampered Chef peeler, and it's okay, but honestly the cheapy one from Walmart is my favorite. So I put the potatoes in a strainer basket in the Instant Pot, put a couple cups of water on the bottom, and then just make sure that's set to sealing. And I just cooked this on manual pressure for about 16 minutes. Okay, so the turkey is done. We're gonna cover it with foil and let it rest for about 30 minutes.
Skin looks nice and crispy.
Yeah. It turned out good. So Adam didn't like the mushrooms because I put walnuts in them. It's
weird texture.
And then I have chicken stock here. I'm gonna make chicken noodles, and I just put the stuffing in the oven. I gotta put the green bean casserole in there and then bake the rolls, and the mashed potatoes are in the Instant Pot. All right, so I'm going to work on the green bean casserole. That's pretty self-explanatory. I usually just use the recipe that's on the cream of mushroom soup can. So I have a can of cream of mushroom and a little bit of milk, and I'm just going to whisk that together. And I also put some soy sauce in there, which I believe is customary, and then some pepper. You do not need salt because the canned soup is very salty and the soy sauce is salty as well. I did cut this in half just because my kids actually really like green beans, but they're not super huge on green bean casserole. So I only made half the recipe, but I put 2 cans of green beans in there, a handful of crispy onions, and then poured the cream of mushroom over that. I'll just give that a good stir. And then you also want to top it off with extra crisp, what are those called? French fried onions. I couldn't remember what they were called. I actually bought a big bag of those from Costco, so that's why they're in a jar. Adam likes to eat them on his bagels and cream cheese, which is kind of odd if you ask me, but he likes it. So that is done. I am going to pop that in the oven along with the rest of the food to bake. Okay, so I'm making the gravy. In here I have some butter that I cooked with some of the turkey drippings, and I put some flour in there, and this is the turkey stock that I made last night. So I'm going to whisk that in, let it simmer, and then just taste it to see if it needs salt or pepper or whatever kind of seasoning. Okay, so I am going to use my new ricer with the potatoes because I am told, oh shoot, I'm told this makes the fluffiest mashed potatoes. So I got this actually to make gnocchi, but you can make mashed potatoes out of it too. So see, you just put it through there like that. And then I have some cream cheese in the bottom of there. I have some melted butter. I'm gonna mix it with some milk. So I'm gonna rice these potatoes real quick like. Okay, so I put all the potatoes through the ricer. I think that was about 3 pounds of potatoes. I heated up half a cup of half and half. I had some cream cheese in there and a stick of butter, and they turned out super creamy and delicious. I'll definitely make them like that from now on if I'm not too lazy.
That's it.
Oh. All right, so Adam carved the turkey. It turned out super good. Very moist. And then we got the cranberry sauce. That turned out really good too. It tastes delicious. And then I'm saving the carcass because I normally make turkey stock with it. And then sometimes I'll make like turkey rice soup or turkey noodles or whatever. And then we got taters. I think we're ready to eat. So we got mashed potatoes and green bean casserole, stuffing. I always call it stuffing. I guess it's dressing. And here's the chicken and noodles. And the gravy turned out really good. Actually, didn't even have to adjust the seasoning at all. So that was pretty cool. And then the rolls.
Beheading the turkey.
The butter turkey.
Oh no! Ew, that's kind of gross.
Turkey with the butter with that turkey.
It's like the butter cow at the state fair. Why is the turkey?
I don't know what that is.
Waiting on the frozen lake, saying hi to every friendly face, and later we warm up by the fireplace. Carolers are singing outside our door.
All right, so I kind of had a fail with my pumpkin pie. You see that bubble in the crust? So I think I should have poked my bottom crust with a fork before I put the pumpkin pie filling in, because you can see there were a few bubbles like that. But overall, the pie crust turned out kind of tough, and it's because I had to cook the pie in the very bottom of the oven, which it's like, that's usually very hot down at the bottom of the oven. And I don't know, it just overcooked the crust and made it tough, but that's fine. We ate some of it. We didn't really like it that much and threw some of it away, but I'm gonna make these Dunkaroo sugar cookies that I got at Hy-Vee, although I feel kind of gypped because there were only 6 in the package, but I think they're just sugar cookies with some kind of a sprinkle frosting, so I'm gonna make those. So here's what those little Dunkaroo sugar cookies turned out like. I don't really understand the packaging. So it said 6 giant sugar cookies or 24 mini ones. I don't really consider these giant sugar cookies, so I feel like that's kind of a ripoff, but whatever, it's fine. They're good. I don't think they taste exactly like a Dunkaroo, but the frosting does. And then I got all of the leftovers packed up. So we had a lot of leftover turkey, which was good. That's what I wanted. So I separated the light and the dark meat. We had some rolls left over, green bean casserole, that's gravy, and then some dressing left over, a lot of mashed potatoes, some chicken noodles. This is the cranberry sauce that is left over, and then the olives. So I also saved the turkey carcass, and that is out in the garage fridge in a big Ziploc bag, and then tomorrow I'll use that to make turkey stock with, and then I'll make turkey and rice soup, which is normally what I do after Thanksgiving with the carcass and all of the leftover meat and everything. And then a lot of times I'll use like some of the gravy in the soup too, so I'll share with you guys that tomorrow. But I think we're getting ready to go to bed. It's 10:30 right now, but I just have to find space in the fridge for all this stuff.
Lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day.
Okay, so I am going to get started on my turkey stock. So I'm taking that turkey carcass from the day before and putting it in my large stock pot. Sometimes I get questions on where I got that stock pot. I actually just bought it from Walmart. It's like a cheap tamale pot. It was like 20 bucks, I think, but it works great for stuff like this. So along with the turkey carcass, I put that into the pot with some really cold water, some salt, some peppercorns. You can put herbs in there. This is the time to clean out your veggie drawer. So you can see there I have carrots, I have a shallot, I have an onion, I have some garlic, I have some celery. I think I'm going to throw some parsley in there as well. Anything, aromatic that you have that would work well in, chicken or turkey stock, you can really throw in here. I've thrown peppers in there before. Anything that's going to give it flavor is good. So Once all of that is in there together, I am going to add some peppercorns. You can add fennel seeds if you want. You can add other things. I usually just keep it pretty simple with like bay leaf, salt, and pepper. There's some cold water in there, and then I'm going to turn the heat on and bring that to a boil. And then once it comes to a boil, you can turn it down to a simmer. And then usually I just let this simmer for like an hour or two until the flavor gets really concentrated. And then once it's done, I like to strain it out into one of my big roasting pans. And then if it's cold outside, I'll kind of cover it loosely and set it outside on the picnic table. You just want to chill the stock so that the fat can harden up and you can skim it off. Okay, so this is, I took the shelf out of the fridge out here. So this is after the stock has been sitting in the fridge all night, and you can see there's some more solidified fat on there. I want to scrape as much off of that as I can before I make it. So now I'm going to get started on making the actual soup, and for this I prefer to peel my carrots. I guess you don't have to. Some people don't peel their carrots, but I'm going to put sort of a medley of vegetables in this soup. Again, it's a great time to clean out veggies that are in your freezer or hanging around in your fridge. I always like to put carrots in there. You could put potatoes. You can also make this turkey soup with pasta. I find that if you make soups with pasta, as the soup sits, the pasta really expands and kind of just like sucks all the broth out of the soup. Rice sometimes does that too, but I find that it doesn't do it quite as much as pasta does. So for the soup, I like to cut everything into as small of pieces as I can. Especially when I'm making soup, you want to make sure that you can kind of get a mixture of all of the little bites of vegetables on your spoon. That's kind of how I think of it. So I cut up quite a few carrots, and again, I'm cutting those up pretty small. And then I'm also going to cut up some celery. I believe I also had some zucchini in the fridge. I threw that in there. I had some frozen veggies. So again, anything that you have laying around, cruciferous veggies, definitely throw these in there. And again, this isn't really a recipe. I just make the turkey stock. I throw the veggies in there. I chop up some turkey. I throw it in there. I put some rice in there. I boil it until everything is cooked through. And then I taste it for seasoning, and that's it. So not super complicated. Just basically trying to use the leftovers and reinvent what I have to make something delicious. I also like to put in a can of petite diced tomatoes. You could use crushed tomatoes or tomato sauce. That's totally optional. Here are my veggies going in, and here are my other veggies going in. I had quite a large batch, so I wanted to make sure that I had enough. And then I'm going to give that a stir. This does take a while to come to a simmer, especially in this pot, but this soup is really good. It's really good leftover. We have been having it for lunch this week, and I like to have it with like a side of cheese and crackers or a sandwich. It's really comforting and delicious. So I decided to go ahead and use the white meat for the soup, just because Adam likes the leftover dark meat on sandwiches. So I cut up some of the meat. Again, I'm not measuring. I'm just kind of eyeballing as much as I think I want to use, and then dicing that up and putting it in with the soup. You also saw me put some frozen corn in there and some frozen peas. Those were just basically like little bags of veggies that I had left over in my fridge. I was going to put some green beans in there, but at this point I thought I had enough veggies, so I went ahead and left it as is. But that will basically simmer until the rice is tender. I think I simmered it for about half an hour to 40 minutes. Probably didn't need that long, but that's how it turned out, and it turned out really, really delicious. I didn't even have to season it at all. Okay, so the turkey rice soup is done. It turned out perfectly flavored. I didn't really have to adjust it at all, just a little bit of salt and pepper. So I have quite a bit here. I think what I'm gonna do now is I need to get some groceries because I'm testing recipes today and I'm out of some things. So I think I'm gonna jar some of this soup up and drop it off at Adam's parents' house and his aunt's house on my way to the store. Okay, so for the turkey soup, I ended up with 1 container of that for us to keep at home, and then I have 1 bag to freeze. So I'm gonna do that, and those containers are not leak proof because I just spilled turkey soup all over my shirt. Fantastic. Okay guys, so that was our Thanksgiving, and thank you for spending it with us. I just wanted to kind of debrief on all of the recipes that I made and let you know how they turned out and if I would make them again. So the turkey and the gravy turned out perfect. Now, make sure if you guys are making a turkey for Christmas or even next year for Thanksgiving that you try this method. I'll link it down below. I don't remember if I said before, but it's a Martha Stewart recipe. The combination of brining the turkey and then using the cheesecloth to drape it and baste it is like perfect. It makes it so juicy and beautiful. It's like the best turkey I've ever cooked. The sausage and herb stuffing, I don't think I really cared for the sausage that I used in it this year. I normally use breakfast sausage, and that's what I should have done, or I should have just left it out. And then too, I think next time I'll probably leave the cranberries out just because I don't think they, I don't know, it just wasn't our favorite this time, but it's still a good stuffing recipe and I would still recommend it. The cranberry sauce was awesome. I will definitely be making that again. Adam really liked it too. Pumpkin pie was sort of a fail. I didn't really care much for the filling. I thought that it could have been a little like more smooth. The shell again was overbaked, and that's because I had to bake it at the very bottom of the oven under the turkey. So normally when you're like baking pies and stuff, you want to put them in the center of the oven so the air can like circulate around, but I didn't get to it in time and I had to shove everything in the oven together, and so that didn't really work out too well. The breakfast egg bake that we made was actually really good, and I would probably make that again, although I didn't have all of the eggs that I needed for it. Next time I would add all of the eggs, but it was good, and then it was good as leftovers too. The mushrooms, I didn't really go off a recipe for those, but I used the walnuts in them, and I would make stuffed mushrooms again. Adam really likes them, but I would leave the walnuts out. He didn't really like the texture of those. Chicken and noodles were good. Green bean casserole is green bean casserole. What can you say about that? Mashed potatoes were awesome. That ricer that I got from OXO is fantastic. I'll link it down below. It's like, I've never had such smooth, creamy mashed potatoes. I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, I think that's it. Did I miss anything? I don't think I did. So anyway, thanks you guys for hanging out with me for the first day of Vlogmas. I hope that you're subscribed. Click that notification bell. I have lots of fun content coming this month that you don't want to miss. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.